is Joy News Prime.
Tonight on Joy News Prime, with some 56 days to the December election, here on the election headquarters, Chairperson of the Electoral Commission grants audience to Dr. Papakwesi Indom, one of 12 presidential aspirants eliminated from the 2016 presidential race because of flaws in their nomination papers. We'll be telling you what we know about the meeting. A survey by the National Commission for Civic Education has given high ratings about the EC's ability to conduct a free and fair poll. On the campaign trail, meanwhile, both President John Mahama and the NPP's flag bearer Nana Akufo-Addo have been out and about.
And business, a rise in inflation for the month of September to 17.2% is being blamed on anxiety and forex market speculation ahead of the elections in December.
And in the Brahafo region, there's discontent amongst customers of the now defunct microfinance firm DKM over a list of beneficiaries of an impending payout that surfaced in the regional capital Bogotá. My name is Israel Lai, and Joy News Prime is also available across Europe on ABN television as well as on DSTV and GoTV station. Now, the issue of currency featured prominently Wednesday afternoon when the presidential candidate of the opposition New Patriotic Party, Nana Akufo-Addo, availed the party's manifesto to industry players at the Trade Fair Center in Accra. The party called for the meeting with AGI to explain to them policies and programs they intend to roll out to boost local industry. Addressing members of the association, Nana Akufo-Addo said his presidency will work towards stabilizing the city as a way of revamping the economy.
The Ivorian currency is a very stable currency, largely because of the relationship between the CFA and the Banque de France. This has the support of the Banque de France, and they work. It's a fixed exchange rate between the CFA and the French franc, or the euro. And what it has done, because they're working essentially a monetary board system, is to anchor their currency in a very stable macroeconomic context. So the issue there is not really about whether the currency is strong or weak, but that it is stable and therefore allows enterprises, entrepreneurs, a predictable framework for doing business. I think that more than anything else has to be our concern.
But in scrutinizing the policy plan on industry as presented by the party, the former president of the AGI, Dr. Prince Kofi Klugesing, said the manifesto failed to address the fundamental issue of empowering the Ghanaian entrepreneur. According to him, there is a need to reconsider the country's outmoded companies code and replace it with a rather undiluted equity law to empower the Ghanaian entrepreneur.
To be able to implement all these policies, one factory per district, that's 216 factories. Now, to be able to establish 216 factories, you need 216 entrepreneurs. Now, these entrepreneurs need to be empowered, with equity, because Ghana, one of the major problems we have here, everybody's complaining about, is debt. We are in a debt environment. Now, one of the major problems we also have is that in our company's code in Ghana, it's dated as far back to 1963, and then our shares are below par value. So when you want to be able to do that, government need to empower the local entrepreneur with equity, like we have in South Africa, where we have like empowerment in Malaysia and other, US and other, even in Ivory Coast. Now everybody tend to celebrate, Ivory Coast, but you cannot go to Ivory Coast and have a 100% company, like that. There must be a foreign equity into it. So there must be first look at our laws, go back to the company's code to see how, entrepreneurs, Ghanaians can be empowered. Because when you go to those factories to be able to put up there, what are you going to do? So if they think it's $1 million and Ghana is required to contribute $300,000, where is it going to get it from? You need to be able to have undiluted equity laws, which empower the Ghanaians to be able to know that this equity that you have, will be there, forever, will not be diluted. So those are the fundamentals you wanted to do before you go for industrialization,
And you say that you didn't find that in the policy?
It's not in the policy, yeah. I didn't find it in the policy.
You think the party will listen to the advice you gave them to go back and possibly look at the policy all over again?
Well, they have to, because most of the people who are here, they've been there before, the Minister of Trade, Konado Apreko, whatever it is, they know AGI views. So the Ghana industry, like I said, if you look at the back there, most of the people, they've tried. But we need to be able to get that empowerment, to back, AGI or Ghanaian entrepreneur, so the policy document, they are fine, interest rates are fine, but you need to be able to empower. That empowerment must come, to the Ghanaian, like it happened in every country, in every regime.
However, former Minister of Trade and Industry under the Kufuor administration and a member of the NPP campaign team, Alan Kojo Chiramanting, strongly defended the party's policy on how to stabilize the failing CD.
We're talking about China. China was in dispute settlement in the WTO for artificially manipulating their currency. So this is not something that we should be quoting, in terms of, but I'm just suggesting that if you look at the economic management paradigm for the matured economies, they are all working towards strong, stable currency. But what they do to support their export agenda is to provide incentives and actually including subsidies. That's the whole thing about export. That it has to be a hand-holding, massive support for export development. So if you're not careful and you are talking now about artificially devaluing the currency, you probably you'll be getting value, but at the same time you end up also destabilizing the economy. So what the
Well, elsewhere, President John Dramani Mahama has taken his Greater Accra region campaign to the Osudoku traditional area, where he's been interacting with the chiefs and people of Dodowa. Tema correspondent Kwame Yanka has been following the president and joins us with details of what he's been up to. Good evening to you, Kwame Yanka. Where has the president been and what has he been saying? Hello, Kwame, if you can hear me, where has the president been and what has he been saying?
Well, currently I'm at Kakasunanka in the Katamanso district. At the moment, probably President Mahama is to mount the podium in the next minute or two. In fact, the participants for including and I should say traditional authorities have been here in the past 2 hours waiting. But as I said, he's been to other places right from the morning. He visited South Doku, stayed on the traditional authority there, held a rally, and then moved to Kenya. So this place happens to be the last place where he would visit before leaving finally for Accra. If you could hear in the background, but his Mahama paper song is playing very loud, and the party people are dancing and cheering today.
All right, thank you very much, Kwame Yanka. Meanwhile, the National Democratic Congress says it is doing all it can to bring back into the party's fold members who have filed to run as independent parliamentary candidates in the December polls. National Women's Organizer of the party, Zainab Joyce Mahama, says President Mahama and the party is strategizing to speak with such persons so they would give up their solo ambitions. Speaking at the inauguration of the Mahama Ladies Club in Wa, the National Women's Organizer expressed optimism the president will succeed in winning the supporters back before the election. Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
Out of the 53 people who filed in the Upper West region to contest the December polls, 4 of them are independent candidates, 3 of whom come from the governing NDC.
With the independence we have, before we go for election, you will hear from us. We are doing a lot on the ground. We know people will be peeved when there's election. We know people will feel uncomfortable when there's election. Nobody loses election and be happy. Everybody who loses election in this country, or everywhere you find a person, that person is peeved. So you use strategies to bring the person back on board, which I promise, inshallah. President Mahama has been talking about it. President Mahama himself is doing it, and I know he will do it.
Joyce Mahama later inaugurated the Upper West branch of the Mahama Ladies Club. Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Watching Joy News Prime, still to come in the bulletin. The chairperson of the Electoral Commission has granted audience to Dr. Papakwesi Indum, one of 12 presidential aspirants eliminated from the 2016 presidential race because of flaws in their nomination papers. We'll be telling you what we know about that meeting. Stay tuned, we'll be back in a minute. Right, welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now, just a day after his heartfelt plea, the Progressive People's Party on Wednesday managed to get audience with the chairperson of the Electoral Commission over his disqualification from this year's election. Dr. Papakwesi Indum had stated that all he needed was 5 minutes to clear up whatever anomalies had been detected with his nomination papers. Joy News' Favor Nunu, who has been to the EC said office, reports the meeting indeed did take place, and he joins me on the phone now with what he knows about that meeting. Good evening to you, Favor. Hello, Favor.
Hi.
Right, good evening to you. Now, what can you tell us about this meeting between the Progressive People's Party's flag bearer and the chairperson of the Electoral Commission?
Hello?
Yes, Favor, I would want you to tell us what you know about the meeting between the PPP flag bearer and the EC chairperson.
Okay, well, Israel, it happened that today at about 5:30 p.m. when I got to the offices of the EC, I actually sighted two Land Cruiser vehicles drive away. It was a tip-off that Dr. Indum had actually visited the EC's premises. And so I did follow up, and it came out clear that indeed he was the one at the EC's premises, and got confirmation that indeed he got to meet the EC's chairperson, Charlotte Osei. Previous days, he did request for a 5-minute meeting, where I understand that this meeting was under 5 minutes, and that the Madam Chairperson was actually in a tender board meeting where they were discussing issues that border on procurement. But then, as to whether what the content of this meeting and what the outcomes were, we weren't sure. And so I did follow up to the offices of the PPP at Salam Down, where executives and various staff at the offices could not confirm or did not actually know that there was an ongoing meeting of a sort. According to them, there was a meeting in the afternoon, but they were not in the know as regards to any meeting having to do with the disqualification of Dr. Indum, and hence his invitation to the EC's offices. So as it stands now, we can't confirm as to whether he was officially invited. Indeed, I did speak to the communications directors at the EC, and they said they are not aware of an official invitation that requested for Dr. Indum to come over to the offices. So as it stands now, it is unofficial whether he is indeed met the EC and what the details are. What we know is that he's met her, not formally, as the EC chairperson herself was not around to speak to the press when we got there. But as it stands now, all we know is that he's been able to get at least a few minutes with the EC. We're not sure what the conversation was, but in the coming days, we're sure that either the EC itself or Papakwesi Indum himself may come out with what the fine details of this meeting was.
All right, thank you very much, Favor Nunu, and we're hoping to actually get to speak with the EC to get some details of this meeting, that what transpired actually at the EC head office, and when we do get them, we would put them on the line. But what we know for now, and as you heard Favor report, that Dr. Papakwesi Indum managed to get some time with he got the audience with the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. We don't know the details though, but we are aware that he requested for 5 minutes to get to clear up whatever anomalies had been identified in his nomination papers, the ones he submitted to the Electoral Commission, and based on which he has been disqualified. So we know that the meeting took place. Indeed, an officer of the Electoral Commission has confirmed to us that the meeting did take place, except that we don't have the details now. But I believe we do have the EC on the line. Do we have Yusuf Ayuba on the line? Hello, good evening to you. Hello, good evening, Mr. Yusuf Ayuba. All right, we will try and get him. But also today, a newly released report by the National Commission for Civic Education has given the Electoral Commission high ratings in a survey of voters. 66.5% of the respondents to the survey in July this year expressed confidence in the ability of the Commission to conduct a free and fair poll. It marks a steady improvement in the perception of voters about the EC's work since their image battering is suffered in the aftermath of the 2012 election. The survey also revealed 87.9% of respondents expressed a willingness to vote. My Joy Online editor Malik Dabu, who is also of the political desk, has been going through the findings and is here to bring us some insights. Good evening to you,
Good evening,
Malik. What do you make of the relatively, high ratings enjoyed by the EC, and what could account for that?
Well, I mean, we all know that the EC has been trying to do some damage control since the last problems it had, especially in the 2013 presidential election petition brought against it by Nana Akufo-Addo, Bawumia, and then the late Jake. Since then, a new person has been appointed, and we know that normally when a new person is appointed, and we know that the new chairperson is likable, she has a pretty person, she's intelligent, she's a lawyer, she speaks fluently, she's articulate. So all of these things, and remember that you just pointed out this was in July. So people would have monitored her, and if you look at what the people pointed out, some of the respondents, and there were 7,497 in all, some of them believe that being a lady, she has a certain predisposition towards being honest and all of that. So I think that influenced the outcome in this survey.
All right. So let's look at the other things that came up in the surveys. It talks about, the
voter turnout for presidential election, for example.
For the presidential election.
So out of the 7,497 respondents, about 6,668 of them, that constituted 89.7%, say they will vote in the presidential election. And the reasons are these. 33.5% of them believe that the various political parties present good policies. And then 21.5% of them believe that they will vote as a matter of civic responsibility. Just about 17% of them trust the candidates contesting in the elections. On the basis of that they say they will vote. Now, if you look at the outcomes, 41.8% say they won't vote, and this is because they believe that government has failed to meet their aspirations.
Again,
41.8% of the total number of people surveyed say they will not vote at all, and their reason for not voting is the government hasn't met their expectations. So that's quite very interesting. 19.2% of people say, well, they won't vote because they believe that their vote won't count anyway. Even if they were to cast it, it won't count. 13.5% say there's no development in their area, and for that matter, they will not vote. Remember that this survey, as we pointed out, took place in July, and it took place in all the 275 constituencies across the country, and these are the outcomes. About 6,534 people, that's 87.9%, say they will vote in the parliamentary election. Now note the difference. Whilst 89% say they will vote in the presidential election, 87.9% say they will vote in the parliamentary election. You see a slight dip.
Yeah, but I want to believe that is within the margin of error.
Yeah, so 89.7 and then 87.9, that's the difference.
Yeah.
So a higher percentage say they will vote in the presidential election, just a slightly lower percentage say they will vote in the parliamentary election. Now, the outcome of this is that if you look at it in totality, it is pointing to a higher voter turnout, about 89% turnout in this election, which will be 9% higher because in the last election, the voter turnout was 80%. This time, they are projecting that the voter turnout will be 89%.
So this is a projection, by the way, and we would have to wait to find out how exactly it turns out. But I've been advised that we have Eric Jakpasu of the Electoral Commission, the head of communications at the Electoral Commission. He's on the line and he's going to be talking to us about the meeting that took place between the PPP's flag bearer and the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. Good evening to you, Mr. Jakpasu.
Good evening, Israel.
All right. So what can you tell us about the outcome of the meeting between Dr. Papakwesi Indom of the PPP and the EC chairperson?
Thank you very much. Nothing really much except that I was reliably informed that Dr. Papakwesi Indom was in the premises of the Electoral Commission and then briefly met with the chairperson of the commission and then left after that.
All right. Do we know if he had 5 minutes or more?
I cannot actually
tell how long the meeting lasted.
For how long the meeting lasted, but it was very brief.
And you haven't gotten any information as to the outcome of that meeting from the EC chairperson?
No, not yet. The meeting, his entry into the yard was quite late at a time when there were a series of meetings going on. So as soon as he left, we also left the premises. So I'm not yet briefed on the outcome of the meeting.
When do you think you'll be in a position to share with us the outcome of the meeting?
At any time that I'm made privy to it, I'll be willing to and glad to share it.
All right. Now, let's look at the other disqualified aspirants. Has any position been taken, or what's been the update on their disqualification? I know a number of them have petitioned the EC. Can you tell us which ones have petitioned the EC so far?
I'm aware of the petition sent by the flag bearer of the NDP, Nana Konedu Ajima Rawlings.
Is that the only petition you've received?
Yes, that is the only that I know of as at now, and where a copy has even come into my bail.
And what is the EC making of this petition? How are you responding to it? Have you responded to it?
No, not that I know of. You know, the position of the EC on the nomination was stated clearly, unequivocally, at the press briefing on Monday, the 10th of October. And the implication is that the nomination process has come to an end. We have a number of candidates whose nominations have been accepted by the commission, and they are the candidates contesting in the election. So as we speak, the commission is focused and is continuing with its other processes, which will lead to the delivery of elections on the 7th of December.
What are the next steps?
Operational-wise, it will be the publication of the notices of nomination, which is the post which provides information on the candidates, and then those who subscribe to their candidates are at both the presidential and then the parliamentary, that is constituency level. Then we also post the notices of poll, which is a pictorial representation of the candidates and their data, and that would be preceded by the balloting for the positions on the ballot. Then we'll proceed with the printing of the ballot, along which we'll be having a lot of engagement with the stakeholders. Then we'll move into logistics management and deployment. Then finally, we train candidates, we train agents, and then our officials. Then we deliver the elections.
All right. I'm particularly interested in the balloting for positions on the ballot paper. Now, does the EC's calendar make provision for a possible review of that ballot? I'm just saying that if you go ahead with the 4 that you have right now, and it turns out that the courts or those who are protesting their disqualification or challenging their disqualification go to court and succeed, does your calendar make provision for you to come back and reverse that and conduct it all over again?
No, exactly. As we speak, we have no court case relating to the nomination process, and as I said earlier, we're just going ahead with the processes. And you see, the interesting thing is that as a law-abiding institution, If it so happens that someone goes to court and the court decides and then gives a ruling which would imply that we may have to reverse processes, why not? We will gladly abide. But as we speak, we have no court case. We are going on with our processes, and we wouldn't want to speculate. We wouldn't want to halt the processes in anticipation of any court case.
All right. Now, has the EC also returned the bankers' draft of those who have been disqualified?
Not that I know of as we speak now.
But will you?
Yeah, per the rules. Once you are not a contestant in the contest, your deposit must be refunded to you.
All right, thank you very much, Eric Jakwasu. He's head of communications at the Electoral Commission, and he's been briefing us about a number of things regarding the EC. First, the meeting between the PPP flag bearer and the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, and the processes that are going to follow now that we know those who will be contesting or who have qualified to contest the 2012 presidential election. So, Malik, back to the NCC, the NCC survey, which showed that the EC had quite some good ratings.
Yes,
we're just going through some of the other issues. Are there any other interesting highlights? For instance, what people are interested in hearing, or what the kind of things people are interested in voting for regarding this election?
Okay, so what they did was the headline of this, the title of this was Matters of Concern to the Ghanaian Voter. Right. So what they did was to rank all the key issues. The number one key issue for the voter was education. 19.8% of the persons surveyed believe that their first priority is education. And this is what they want government to do. They want government to make basic education free. They want government to make access to education less costly, less expensive, and easier for every Ghanaian. Those are the key things for them under education. The next one is health. And under health, 16.4% of the persons surveyed believe that health is their next problem. And of course, NHIS. They believe that the NHIS is not working well. 45% of them, just a little less than half of them, believe that government must put in measures to make the health insurance scheme function effectively. The next one, and there are three key ones: education, health, and then employment. 15.7% of the people believe that there are no opportunities for job. 76% of them want government to create job opportunities for the Ghanaian citizens. Those which didn't really attract a lot were housing and ICT. Housing was 1.5%, ICT 0.3%, and then sports 0.3%. But the key ones are education, health, employment.
All right, thank you very much, Malik Dabu, for taking us through the highlights of the matters of concern to the Ghanaian voter as put together by the National Commission for Civic Education. Thank you very much. We're taking a break at this point. When we come back, we'll bring you business news on Joy News Prime. Please stay tuned. Now, a compilation of names of customers of now defunct GKM Diamond Microfinance, which has surfaced in the Upper East Regional Capital, is causing a lot of discontent amongst the people there. The official liquidator is expected to make out payment to the affected customers using that list. Some of the customers have, however, rejected the list, saying it captures only a small fraction of the customers. Correspondent Arbitori reports.
The Upper East region was one of the several regions in Ghana hit by the microfinance scam over a year and a half ago. Hundreds of customers who put their monies into investment deposits with the DKM Diamond Microfinance Company with the hope of making interest lost the monies after a moratorium was placed on the company for failing to follow the Bank of Ghana regulations. The company was subsequently closed down. Since then, affected customers have been striving to recover their monies, with several demonstrations and press conferences yielding little results. Last week, it was announced that the company had been liquidated in order to pay customers whose funds were locked up. The names published according to customers in Bolgatanga are inadequate. Richard Abangna addressed the media on behalf of the aggrieved DKM customers in Bolgatanga.
We in the Upper East region feel very disappointed to know that you publish only 998 names out of over 6,000 DKM creditors from the region. Madam Liquidator, what system or formula did you use to come out with this scanty number? How did you arrive at the 998 names from Upper East with a lot of repetition? What accounted for all small number of validated names? Are you trying to tell the whole world that the peace-loving people from the Upper East region are not hugely affected by this national disaster? Madam Liquidator, our research indicates that you were giving books that contain the names and accounts, details of all the DKM customers from the Upper East region. Please, did you use these books in the release of the 998 names? If no, why?
Some of the aggrieved customers also spoke to Joy News.
They are saying that we should go to the bank. You go to the bank and get what? Check again. So we are worried. We are worried. We are actually worried.
The list has come and the names are not there. Some names came with wrong account numbers and we don't even know how much we are collecting. They should bring our monies to us.
To put your money that you are investing and later on you are not able to get the money. Some of us use our school fees to save so that we can get the interest to buy books and go and study. Now we didn't get the money. We couldn't go to complete our courses.
We don't know what is actually happening. The liquidator, whoever that matters, assure us, tell us the way forward. People are dying. We are struggling. All our hopes are just swept into the dustbin. We just don't have hope anywhere. Things are very hard.
Now, a sound financial background and ability to raise a child will be paramount considerations in the approval of child adoptions under the new Children's Amendment Bill currently before Parliament. The bill also aims to protect adopted children, both home and abroad, and spells out conditions under which an adoption process can be reversed. Deputy Children, Gender and Social Protection Minister Dela Soam, who took the bill through the second reading, tells parliamentary correspondent Elton Brobe it empowers High Court judges to grant adoption requests.
Ghana has acceded to the Hague Convention, and there are certain rules and regulations within that convention that we need to also put in place in the country. So the amendment will make us Hague compliant so that we seek in everything the best interest of the children. Sometimes children are adopted, they are trafficked and other things. We have to protect their interests and make sure that if somebody comes to adopt a child, he's adopting the child for the purpose that they intended to adopt the children. Some people also come for adoption, they probably don't have the finances to take care of the children. So we want to ensure that those coming for adoption are capable of looking after the children. And then either to the district court, any district court can grant the adoption order, but now it has to be by a high court. There'll be a creation of a central adoption authority, and they will review all adoptions. They will operate at the district level, at the regional level, and then at the national level. So those things are being put in place to protect our children from abuse.
Some members of Parliament, however, want government to improve conditions at the Department of Social Welfare and the homes to ensure they bring up children in their care in conformity with provisions of the bill.
Currently, if we follow what the announced investigations of 2010 and 2015 revealed, the state of our homes, our children's homes themselves are really deplorable, and the children there are very much at risk. I haven't seen anything here which would address that issue. What steps are being taken to ensure that we deinstitutionalize the care of our children? We remove them from these children's homes. All that I see is that we're putting in place measures to make it even more difficult for those who want to adopt or to foster children to do so. The memorandum is talking about removing the power to grant adoption orders from all courts and giving it only to the high courts, so that we introduce stricter guidelines for it. I think we ought to be encouraging more adoptions and foster care in this country.
These basically on the 1992 Constitution and the Children's Act. We have an Adoption Act, I think it's of 1960. I don't see that captured in the report. But Mr. Speaker, since the passage of the 1998 Children's Act, Act 560, there have been a number of developments. And then also since the 1992 Constitution, we've had the Hague Convention. And there are new developments which are not captured under our laws. And so the purpose of the Children's Amendment Bill is to update the laws on children, particularly focusing on areas of foster care, adoption, and the institutional arrangements that could make the process quite transparent, quite equitable, and quite focused on the welfare of the child.
So we should reinforce the bill to resource mothers in particular, so that they give birth to their children and take care of these children. And also we expect that we have the Child's Rights Bill and reinforce that those who are involved in child trafficking, they also bring on board. And then those who are against the child bill are also brought on board, so that collectively we ensure that children are given the right home to live in. After all, no child will want to be on the street, or no one will want to be where he or she is not comfortable.
You're watching Joy News Prime. Up next will be international news. All right, Aisha Ibrahim is here just in time to tell us what's coming up on Joy News Interactive. Good evening to Aisha.
Good evening to Israel, and I promise a lot of interesting things are happening on the interactive segment. So time to check what's coming shortly. And Mrs. Joyce I has wondered why Ghanaian men always question the competence and qualification of women who get appointed to higher positions, saying there are many incompetent men occupying high positions and messing up things. But women do not question their qualification. What do you make of her concern?
It will surprise you that most of our women out there may even be the brain behind Ayariga's accusations.
Really? Also, former Hearts of Oak captain Yao Amankwa-Miriku hints the current slump in the Black Stars can be attributed to the lack of spiritual backing for the team. Question: is spiritual backing exactly what they need? What form will that take?
It's not spiritual, it's technical problem.
So finally, a 35-year-old man has been arrested by the Wutu police station in the central region for buying kenke and fish on credit to the tune of 170 Ghana cedis over a month period. Did the kenke seller take the issue too far? Isn't credit a better option than stealing?
I know that he had the intention of not paying. Maybe he wanted to run away. It's very good the woman did that.
Well, I'll be back within the hour to take all your comments on the trending issues. Please stay with us.
Right, and there's one other story that's of interest to me, and I'm going to be bringing that one up later. It's a military man in Kalipo Selfie who's actually under investigation. We're going to be hearing about that. But up next in a bit, I'll bring you the headlines. Stay tuned. Now, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission has granted audience to Dr. Papakiti Indum, one of 12 presidential aspirants eliminated from the 2016 presidential race because of flaws in their nomination papers. A survey by the National Commission for Civic Education is giving high ratings about the EC's ability to conduct a free and fair poll. On the campaign trail, both President John Mahama and the NPP's flag bearer Nana Akufo-Addo have been out and about. In business, a rise in inflation for the month of September to 17.2% is being blamed on anxiety and forex market speculation ahead of elections this December. In other news, construction works on phase 1 of the Ho aerodrome is expected to be completed by March 2017. According to Amandi Holdings Limited, which is in charge of the project, 90% of works have been done on the runway, while works on the terminal and access roads are progressing steadily.
The Ho aerodrome is situated on a 1,500-acre land at Titrino off the Ho Patori Road. It is being constructed at a cost of $25 million US. Phase 1 of the project includes construction of a runway, an access road and a terminal, which would house a firefighting center, a powerhouse and a water facility. The civil engineer in charge of the project, Justice Adai, who took journalists on a tour of the project, said works on the 1,600 by 30-meter runway would be completed in November. He adds that works on the terminal and access routes are also progressing steadily and expected to be ready in March 2017.
With the asphalt, now we are starting with the first layer. There are 2 layers. So we are starting with the first layer. As I said, we finished with the trials, we've taken our course, we've tested them in the lab, they are good. So we are still on it with the documentation for the asphalt. Everything that we do, and then we take it to other places, third party, for them to approve before we work with them. I would say by this November we should finish with the runway. Yes, it's 90%. The terminal building, let's say roughly by March, we should finish. It's not just the terminal building. We have firefighting, we have water supply facility, we have powerhouse. Yes, we have all those things. By March, we should finish with all those things.
The site safety engineer Jacob Fiagbeji elaborated on the work done so far on the runway, designed basically for domestic aircrafts.
The land is a marshy land, so the excavation was done for about 3 of my height. About 12 feet. More than 12 feet. More than 12 feet. My height is almost 6 feet and more than 18 feet. And then we fill it with granite, layer by layer, compacted it. When the compaction is done, they need to test to see its hardness before we continue up to this level. And as you are seeing over here, you can see the stone base. It's 2 layers, very thick, to carry the weight of the aircraft. So the first layer is where I'm standing, and the second layer is there. And the asphalt is 2 layers. So there's no way this project will complete and we will have any problem.
In September 2014, President John Mahama broke ground for the construction of the Ho aerodrome, which is funded out of a $150 million loan sourced by the Ghana Airports Company Limited. Fred Kwame Saris report.
Elsewhere, barring any last-minute hitch, contractors are expected to hand over the Upper West Regional Hospital to government next week. Resident engineer of the project says they will, by the end of next week, finish with all the essential units to allow partial operations in November. The 160-bed facility is expected to become fully operational in the first quarter of 2017. Upper West Region correspondent Rafiq Salam was among some journalists conducted around the $61 million project in our report.
Construction work on the new 160-bed Upper West Regional Hospital started in 2010 and was expected to be completed in 2014 but delayed due to some challenges. Engineers working on the $61 million Eurojet the Invest Finance project say they have overcome all the challenges and ready to do a soft handing over of the facility next week. It has an administrative block, pharmacy unit, outpatient department, inpatient unit, physiotherapy apartment, laboratory section, among others. Construction manager of Eurojet the Invest, engineer Amir Zaid, told journalists after going around with them that they are not only working to achieve results, but will also ensure that the work is of high quality.
No, we need to deliver the hospital before the time. So we are here working together. We have all facilities here. We have the consultant and we have the contractor. We have everything. So now we are working day and night. And I believe that we will deliver good hospital with good quality, with good design also.
Resident engineer Abu Ahmed Abu Shama was full of praise for the over 500 workers who works 18 hours in a day to ensure the success of the project.
Most skilled people here in Ghana, laborers, for all tiles like for the hospital of Ghana, of course. So are working in one building, as I mentioned before, maybe 6-7 activities working in the same building in the same day. That's happened for all buildings, not just the one building. That means we're working very fast. And we have here the full quality control and the quality assurance to be sure 100% perfect that the quality is perfect 100%.
Administrative manager of Eurojet the Invest, Baba Anaba, said they now feel vindicated.
The hospital is 90% complete. Equipment will be installed, then people can have access into the hospital. We say by the end of November, by then all the equipments would have been installed, and then patients can, come in and access the facilities. And then second quarter of 2017, that is when the government would then hand the Invest would then hand it's a turnkey project. The Invest would then hand the project to government.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
Second Lady Matilda Misa Arthur is appealing for support for the Accra Psychiatric Facility. She made the appeal after visiting the facility during its opening day. Misa Arthur believes more needs to be done in order to improve conditions there.
The Open Day forms part of activities to commemorate Mental Health Week celebration at the various psychiatric hospitals in the country. Medical Director of the hospital, Dr. Pinaman Apel, led the Second Lady, NDC parliamentary candidate for the Klotikole constituency, Dr. Zinato Wajaman Rawlins, among others, to tour the facility. Addressing the media after the tour, Mrs. Matilda Emisa Arthur called on Ghanaians to stop ignoring mental health issues and help make the facility more conducive and attractive for patients and staff.
Reason why open days are done is for people to come and familiarize themselves with what happens. So today we're inviting everybody to come and see what is done here so that we can all talk about it well, because out there people have different notions about what exactly happens here, and because of that some people are even ashamed to be seen anywhere near here. So we are saying that today come and learn about what the psychiatric hospital does, because it could be you, it could be a member of your family who has a psychiatric problem, and you need to know exactly what happens here so that you can talk about it well, so that you can also disabuse some of the notions.
NDC parliamentary candidate for the Klotikole constituency, Dr. Zinato Wajaman Rawlins, expressed shock at the conditions at the facility.
I feel quite sad, actually, because everyone you see here is from someone's family. The people here are parents or children of or sisters of. It could easily be any one of us. It could easily be any member of our family. So I think that we have a responsibility definitely to do what we can to help. It's been an eye-opener. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know until you discover it, and this is definitely an eye-opener for me. I think we'll keep it short. I think we need to get help from everyone who is willing to support the cause of rehabilitating and also helping to equip the hospital.
She later presented assorted items to the hospital and pledged to support the facility in every way she can.
What I think perhaps I would suggest is we will find someone who can liaise with you so we can come up with a brochure, just a basic brochure that's an information brochure, so we can start distributing it so that, and please do not misconstrue, this is not to politicize this, but when we're going on our campaign trail, we meet lots of people who we would otherwise not meet. And it's an opportunity to raise the awareness everywhere we go. So if we can get some literature or we can work on printing some, with your, you review it, you let us know if it's okay, and then we can start distributing this so people have that raised awareness of what the spectrum of mental illness includes.
The event was climaxed with an exhibition of artwork made by staff and patients of the hospital, with some patients appealing for help to expand their art business.
At times we face financial problems. At times how to get funds for buying the raw materials for the beads making at times becomes a problem. So I would like to appeal to the general public for their support.
Up next is entertainment.